Dialogue must continue. It must include the voices of different civilizations, cultures, and regions. That's why we launched the global initiative World Public Summit. The World Public Summit, the first summit, took place in India. Then the dialogue continued in Latin America, in Brazil. And I am very happy Mr. Fidel Antonio Castro Smirnov with us today because he was in Latin America Summit too. Thank you so much for your coming. Today, Africa joins this important journey. This September, we gather once again in Moscow for the second public assembly under the theme, A New World, Values That Unite. Together, we will present the ideas and proposals developed during every region summit and discuss the Charter of Values of the New World, a document reflecting our shared vision of dialogue, cooperation, and peaceful development. Our summit is taking place at a particularly significant moment for Russia-Africa cooperation. This October, Moscow will host the third Russia-Africa Summit and Russia-Africa Economic and Humanitarian Forum. I believe that the dialogue we are holding today in Addis Ababa will enrich that important meeting with new ideas, new partnership, and new humanitarian initiatives. I sincerely hope that many of our African partners will continue this dialogue in Moscow, contributing to the further development of Russia and Africa cooperation. Dear friends, I am especially pleased to see so many young people in this hall today. Mr. Chama talked about that. Your presence gives us confidence that the future of public diplomacy and future of our planet is in a good hands. I am also delighted that as part of World Public Summit Africa, we will hold a special youth session, bringing together young leaders from different countries to exchange ideas, building partnership, and launch new international initiatives. I believe too often we say that young people are our future, but I believe that they are already our present. Today they are building bridges between cultures and shaping the future of international cooperation. And our responsibility is to trust them, support them, and create opportunities to realize their potential. Dear friends, dialogue becomes truly meaningful when they leads to action. That's why the World People's Assembly has launched several international initiatives that encourage people who make a real contribution to peace, cooperation, and mutual understanding. One of them is the International Contest Leader of Public Diplomacy. And today, this evening, at the Adva Museum and Cultural Center, we will celebrate the winners of the Africa regional stage of the International Contest Leader of Public Diplomacy. The World People Assembly has also established the World Award for Service to Humanity. We recognize in such people who we affirm a simple, not important truth. The future is shaped not only by institutions, it is shaped by people who are willing to serve others. Today, we are also honored to establish the representative office, the World People's Assembly in Zambia. And I sincerely congratulate our Zambian partners on this important occasion. I I am confident that this representative office will become an important center for dialogue and cooperation, strengthen friendship across Africa, and contribution to the further development of our global community. Dear friends, here in Africa, there is a beautiful philosophy known as Ubuntu. I am because we are. These simple words express a profound truth. Our lives are connected and our future is shared. The wisdom reflects the values of the World People's Assembly and the very spirit of public diplomacy. Today, we have not only exchanged ideas, we have strengthened trust, and trust is where every lasting partnership begins. Today in Addis Ababa, we have taken another important step toward a world where dialogue is stronger than confrontation, cooperation is stronger than conflict, and trust is stronger than fear. I sincerely thank all our partners, participants, and friends for your openness, your commitment, and your belief in our power of public diplomacy. Let us continue this journey together, heart to heart, eye to eye, soul to soul. Thank you so much. And now I would like to invite Mr. Mabuto Chipata to the stage for the official presentation of the documents of established our first representative office in Africa. Please come here. And I give you the documents. And now you are a head of our representative office of World Public Assembly in Zambia. It's for you. Where are you? Please. For you. And our symbol, our flag of assembly. It is our first representative office in African countries, but I believe we can open the same representative office in every African countries. And so we are waiting for your ideas, your initiative. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you very much for very well spoken. You all agree with me that the importance of values cannot be overemphasized while the photographs are going on. So on that very positive note, it is my great pleasure to invite Mr. Mabuto Tembo Chipata to give us, he's the Chief Executive Officer of Her Voice Foundation, Republic of Zambia, to please give his brief remarks. Thank you. Welcome him, please.
By our late President, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda, in cooperation with many countries, including Ethiopia, where we are today, who has made the decision to establish the first office in Zambia, is evidence that Zambia can help continue to advance the purpose of the World People's Assembly. More so, in Zambia, we have already registered 5 members to the organization. Zambia is at the center of Southern Africa. The location itself is an advantage. It is the heart of the Zambezi River, which unites 6 African countries. And yesterday, we had the privilege to launch a project for the Zambezi River in Africa. What will this office do for us in Africa? Number one, it will coordinate all the efforts that we have in Africa. Number two, we will implement, it will help us implement the resolutions for the World People's Assembly in Africa. Our expectation is that we continue to forge ahead with the belief that we can change Africa into a better world, from a dependency in natural resources to a stage where Africa can become the hub of economic development, technology, and a bright future for our youth. Our appeal to all African countries is to support this project and work together to continue to advance the cause of Africa. I thank you for listening.
Hopefully, thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Madhu Hamadu, he's former Prime Minister of the Union of the Comoros. His Excellency, Africa is at the crossroads, and I think his remarks will be most appropriate for us at this time. His Excellency, please, you're welcome to give your brief remarks. Thank you.
Speak in Russian. Дамы и господа, дорогие друзья, уважаемые гости, тема моего выступления – островные государства Африки в пределах континента или на его окраине. Когда речь идет об Африке, в мыслях сразу возникает массивный контур континента, его реки, пустыни, просторы, мегаполисы. Слишком часто забывается, что Африка – это также 6 островных государств – Кап-Верде, Сан-Томе и Принципы, Коморы, Мадагаскар, Маврикий и Сейшельские острова. Мы приехали из Африки, конечно, из глубин океанов, но один и тот же вопрос преследует нас на каждом саммите. Мы внутри континента или на его периферии? Если мы дадим неправильный ответ на этот вопрос здесь, на социальном саммите, то новый мир, который мы хотим построить, будет неполным. Первый. На периферии по цифрам, в сердце по истории. На бумаге мы периферия, 6 государств, менее 5% населения Африки. Стоимость импорта на 30-40 выше. Территории разделения океаном. Но это бухгалтерский взгляд, тот самый, который ставит нас в конец списка дорожных, железнодорожных и электрических коридоров континента. Но история говорит иное. Мы первая Африка, с которой познакомился мир. Наши порты, Морони, Антирана, Прая, Пурлуй были воротом Африки в Азию и Европу. Наши креольские, суахильские, афроарабские общества – доказательство того, что Африка никогда не была закрытым континентом. Поэтому мы не географическая периферия, мы связующее звено Африки с миром. В новом мире мосты важнее стен. Второе. В центре социальные потрясения, на краю социальные решения. Социальная сфера не врет. Наши проблемы на 100% африканские. Безработица среди молодежи, продовольственная безопасность, неравенство здравоохранения, образование. Но наши потрясения умножаются. Когда циклон обрушивается на Мадагаскаре, например, за 48 часов страдают 1,5 миллиона человек. Когда океан наступает на Анжуане, на Коморские острова, или в мае, отступать никуда. Когда растут цены на рис или нефть, у островных семей нет местной альтернативы. И тем не менее, взлетав в Африканском социальном фонде, в крупной программной социальной защите, островной фактор до сих пор рассматривается как особенность в сноске. Африканская хартия напоминает, Африка примирится сама с собой только тогда, когда ни одна из ее частей не будет чувствовать себя брошенной. И третье. Наши предложения для нового мира. Я пришел не жаловаться. Я пришел с предложениями. Голубая Африка – третий столб нашего общего будущего. Если 20 век были веком саванны и лесов Африки, то 21 век должен стать веком голубой Африки. Это означает 3 конкретные обязательства для этого саммита. Во-первых, социальный пакт для голубой экономики. Наши исключительные экономические зоны в совокупности превышают 6 миллионов квадратных километров. Это больше, чем Индия. Устойчивое рыболовство, морская биотехнология, морская энергетика, устойчивый туризм. Будем финансировать африканские морские университеты. Создадим голубой африканский рынок в рамках ЗЛК. Земля кормит, море тоже должно кормить. В-третьих, социальная климатическая защита островов. Создадим механизм континентальной солидарности для покрытия и потерь и ущерба. Когда острову наносится удар, весь континент должен откликнуться. Это не помощь, это братское страхование. Мы принадлежим друг другу. В-третьих, физическая и цифровая связанность. Нет общего будущего без подводных кабелей, без африканских морских линий, без взаимных прав на каботаж между островами и континентом. К 2030 году ни один молодой человек в Джоэзе на Коморах, в Прае на Капо-Верде или Виктории на Сейшельских островах не должен будет говорить сложнее добраться до Аддис-Абебы или Найроби, чем до Парижа. В заключение, острова не находятся ни внутри, ни на периферии. На самом деле они в центре. Архипелаги – это лишь верхушка айсберга. Континенты – это подводная основа, которая его поддерживает. Географическая изоляция и ограниченность внутренних рынок накладывает на них серьезные ограничения. В отличие от континентальных стран, которые могут полагаться на африканские автомобильные и железные коридоры, острова полностью зависят от морских и воздушных путей для снабжения и торговли. И это будет всегда. Эта изоляция создает несоразмерные транспортные расходы, которые сказываются на экономической конкурентоспособности. Но это же самое касается и 16 стран-энклавов на континенте, у которых вообще нет прямого выхода к морю. Хотя эти островные государства окружены обширными, исключительными экономическими зонами, они парадоксальным образом импортируют большую часть своих основных продуктов питания. За исключением Мадагаскара, плодородной земли здесь мало, и она часто отводится под традиционные культуры для продажи. Из-за зависимости от импортных товаров они прямо подвержены росту мировых цен. В итоге африканские острова страдают от двойного климатического удара внутри и не на периферии. Мы в центре полноценной Африки с сахельским, экваториальным и островным лицом, Африки, которая смотрит и на землю, и на океан. Если мы построим этот новый мир вместе, тогда каждый ребенок, родившийся у меня на Мухели, на Махе или в Таматаве, сможет без колебаний сказать: «Я африканец, и Африка тоже принадлежит мне». Это и есть общее будущее, это и есть тот Африканский союз, который мы хотим. Благодарю вас за внимание. Спасибо.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hamada. Thank you very much. Our next speaker has a name that's very familiar. His name dates back to history of Fidel Castro that we all know. So it's my pleasure to invite Professor Fidel Antonio Castro Smirnov to speak to us. He's a member of the Cuban Academy of Science and a professor of the University of Havana. Please welcome Mr. Castro Smirnov.
Good morning. Thank you, Philip, for your presentation. Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, and fellow Africans, I am deeply honored and grateful to have been invited to this assembly to speak about the architecture of the future, traditional values as the foundation of sustainable development and social responsibility. This title speaks of architecture, not of buildings, but of the future we choose to build together. I believe that architecture rests on values older than any empire: solidarity, dignity, resilience, hospitality, respect for elders, and the refusal to leave anyone behind. That is why I would like to start with an idea that is not about the past, but about the future. The thought of Fidel Castro still has much to do in the work ahead of us as Cubans, as people of Africa descendant, and as citizens of that immense world of the poor of the earth. This is my first visit to Ethiopia. It is an academic mission, but above all, it is a mission of love for Fidel, commander in chief of the Cuban Revolution, leader of the revolutionary left of our America, of Africa, and of the rest of the world. A mission of love for his work, which even today, in the year of his centenary, serve as our example and our motivation. For me, standing on this ground is not a small matter. My grandfather came to this city in March 1977 secretly to help stopping a war. He returned in September 1978 to stand with Ethiopia on the anniversary of this revolution. When he was awarded the Star of Great Honor, he did not come as a tourist. 17,000 Cuban soldiers fought alongside Ethiopia in the Ogaden. Cuban blood has been spilled on this continent. In Angola, more than 300,000 Cubans served for over 16 years, and more than 2,000 never returned home. Cuban teachers also taught over 2 million Angolans to read. Please allow me to remind that at Cuito Cuanavale, Cuban and Angolan forces halted the advance of the apartheid army, paving the way for Namibia's independence. Nelson Mandela himself said that this battle shattered the myth of the invincibility of the white oppressor. My grandfather would have turned 100 years old on August 13, exactly in 2 weeks. I had not planned for the final event of this centenary year to fall so close to that date in a country he once had a connection, but I am glad it has. So let me make one thing clear. I have not come to introduce Cuba to Africa. I have come to acknowledge a moral depth. For decades, while Cuba was isolated in its own hemisphere, the African bloc at the United Nations granted the small Caribbean island the legitimacy the great powers tried to deny it. Mandela himself once asked which other country could claim a more selfless record towards Africa than Cuba. Cuba, in turn, supported African causes at the United Nations and within the non-alignment movement. On the other hand, we have been receiving the solidarity of Africa at multilateral forums and in the African Union itself, voting against the United States blockade. As a nuclear physicist, let me borrow an image from my own field to illustrate my country. When you subject a material to sustained extreme pressure, physics gives you exactly two outcomes. It fractures or it becomes denser and stronger. For 67 years, those who designed the blockade against Cuba have been waiting for the first one, and they are still waiting. But as an African proverb says, when the roots are deep, the tree has nothing to fear from the wind. And like sturdy trunks of leafy trees, we, the Cubans, remain standing, and we will continue to do so. We call this the physics of dignity. I am not raising this to win your sympathy, because something happened this year that concerned every nation in this room, whatever your relationship with Washington. On January 3rd, US forces kidnapped Venezuela's constitutional president in his own capital and flew him out of the country. Call it what you will. A head of state was forcibly removed from sovereign soil. In addition, allow me now to be fair to my 32 brothers who died in combat in Venezuela during that act of state terrorism. They didn't die solely for Venezuela, nor for Cuba, even though their example is one of the greatest deterrents to the imperial threats. Jose Marti said that homeland is humanity, and my 32 brothers died to keep human dignity alive, proving that in the 21st century, one gives their own life to defend a just cause. Even with everything against them, and when all seems lost, ideas are more powerful than weapons, as we learn from Fidel, and there is no enemy so strong that it cannot be defeated. It is about defending the values one believes in at the price of any sacrifice. And men can die, but ideas cannot be killed. The most terrorist state in the world has repeatedly declared us a state sponsor of terrorism. And everyone in this room knows that Cuba is a state that sponsors love, life, solidarity, internationalism, and peace. These are the values we defend for the future of humanity, and these traditional values as the foundation of sustainable development and social responsibility. 3 weeks later of President Maduro kidnapping, the United States declared Cuba an extraordinary threat and imposed tariffs of any nation selling us oil. Shipments for all countries stopped. The consequences have been real. As I speak, my country is living through island-wide blackouts, generally of more than 50 hours, and then 1 or 2 hours with electricity. Hospitals are running on generators with almost no fuel, and some surgeries finish with the light of cell phones. Operations are being postponed. United Nations human rights experts have called this energy starvation, a form of unilateral coercion that breaks international law. To give you a clear sense of this scale, this crisis has driven infant mortality up from 4 to 9.2 per 1,000 live births and cut the survival rate for children with cancer from 85% to 65%. Now, look beyond Cuba and consider the mechanism itself. It does not arrive by worship. It comes as a threat, tariff on any third country that trade with us. Today, Havana is the target. Tomorrow, this same instrument could be turned on any government in this continent that sells its lithium or its oil on terms Washington has not approved. This is not only a Cuban problem. Yet, despite the 7-decade blockade and despite the major powers hoarding vaccines during the pandemic, Cuban scientists, my own colleagues, developed 5 vaccine candidates for our own. They did it under the same financial constraint that made buying a syringe an act of audacity. That was no miracle. It was a policy going back to 1960, when my grandfather said, Elam, more than 32,000 doctors from 122 countries have trained in Havana on full scholarship without a cent of tuition debt. In addition, we did not stop at training doctors abroad. We helped found medical faculties here on this continent, in Gambia, Equatorial Guinea, and Zanzibar. When Ebola tore through West Africa in 2014, Cuba Henry Reef contingent, 256 doctors and nurses, went to Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea when almost no one else would. Today, thousands of Cuban doctors and nurses are still working in nearly 30 African countries. Many of you have shaken the hand of a doctor in your own country who studied in Cuba or who worked beside someone who did. This is cooperation among equals, a model I ask this assembly to defend and to expand for the young people of this continent sitting in this hall today. Our country does not launch bombs against other people. We do not possess nuclear, chemical, or biological weapons. The tens of thousands of scientists and doctors Cuba has trained were educated in the idea of saving lives. Fidel used to say our doctors would win the first Olympic gold medal of solidarity for their conscience, for the concept they hold of the human being. Our army went out to save life, not to launch bomb. As my grandfather said, doctors, not bombs. Doctors, not smart weapons of precise aim, because after all, a weapon that kills by betrayal is not a smart weapon at all. I am aware of the theme of African Union choose for this year, water and sanitation within Agenda 2063. I take it seriously because Cuba cooperation with Africa has always gone beyond doctors, decades of experience in water management, desalination, and disaster preparedness, born on real scarcity because it was our only option. We offer this experience openly as partners, not patrons. To the young Africans in this hall, you have inherited a climate crisis and a debt architecture you did not cause and did not design. You live in a global system where your voice is too often an afterthought. Test us rigorously, without illusion, and see whether another model is possible. One where knowledge serves life before it serves the market. Come and see for yourself. Send your researchers. Challenge our results. That is how real science and real solidarity are supposed to work. The unipolar order is ending, not because it was defeated in a debate, but because it has lost the moral authority to justify its own actions. But let us be honest with one another. A multipolar world where the same powers compete for the same resources by the same profit driven rules will have changed everything and reformed nothing. Agenda 2063 envisions an Africa that is integrated, prosperous, and driven by its own people. That means more than a bigger seat at the table. It means redefining what a nation is for. Cuba has not come to Addis Ababa to ask for solidarity, as it were owed to us, as so we had given nothing in return. We are here because decades ago, this continent reached out to a small island under siege, and the island tried to answer in kind, with blood, with classroom, with clinics. All we ask is that we keep building that bridge together as equals, because we have already proven what we can achieve when we work together without waiting for anyone's permission. As a scientist, I know that entropy, which in thermodynamics is a concept that measures disorder, is the natural state of things. But building bridge is an act of human will. We count on the strength of our revolutionary ideas and the strength of our example. We count on the legacy of Fidel, statesman and scientist, to give us wisdom. As Fidel said, without Africa, without its sons and daughters, without its culture and customs, without its languages and its gods, Cuba will not be what it is today. Distinguished friends, all of us here share the historic privilege of being the generation of the centenary of Fidel. We, Cubans, Africans, and our friends across the world, like you, are all responsible for not letting the commander-in-chief die in the year of the centenary. And let me leave you with one final thought. Thank you, Russia, for showing the world that fascism can be defeated. And thank you, Ethiopia, for your own example To the world and to Cuba, you were never conquered. And just as Ethiopia was never conquered, neither will Cuba be. Not now, not ever. Brothers and sisters, dear comrades and friends, I will finish as my grandfather would have done at the end of a speech in Cuba or on this land, which at the end is the same. Hasta la victoria siempre. Patria o muerte, venceremos. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much, Professor Fidel Castro Smenov. He said so many eloquent things there, but my favorite was ideas are more powerful than weapons. Thank you very much. So ideas build the world, but industry and business keeps it going and keeps people employed. So it's most appropriate for us to invite our next speaker, Mrs. Zahra Mohammed. She's the president of the Addis Ababa Chamber of Commerce and Sectoral Associations of Ethiopia. And she has, I think he's been represented. She's been represented. And he has promised to keep his speech within 2 minutes. Thank you so much for your promise.
Good morning, everyone. Excellencies, distinguished guests, on behalf of Her Excellency Ms. Zahra Mohammed, President of Addis Ababa Chamber of Commerce and Sectoral Associations, and myself, it's my great honor to give key notes on the role of business membership organizations, BMOs, whereby Addis Chamber is one among others, in shaping a just world order. It's true that business membership organizations, shortly called BMOs, play an important role in promoting economic development, good governance, and sustainable business practices. Their influence extends beyond representing business interests to contributing to a more just and inclusive world order. A just world order is one in which economic, social, political, and environmental systems promote fairness, equality, peace, human dignity, and sustainable development. BMOs, such as Chamber of Commerce, whereby Addis Chamber is one among others, manufacturers associations, and sectoral business associations, serve as collective voices of businesses. By advocating responsible business practices, influencing public policy, and fostering collaboration among stakeholders, BMOs can significantly contribute to building a more equitable and sustainable global society. Roles of BMOs in shaping a just world order includes few of the following, among others, include the first one is promoting ethical business practice. BMOs encourage their members to adopt ethical standards such as integrity, transparency, accountability, and anti-corruption measures. They often develop codes of conduct and provide training that helps businesses operate responsibly, thereby strengthening public trust and promote fairness in markets. The second one is advocating for fair and inclusive policies. BMOs engage governments and policymakers to promote policies that create an enabling business environment while supporting inclusive economic growth. They advocate for fair taxation, transparent regulations, protection of property rights, and policies that encourage entrepreneurship, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises, which is often called as SMEs. The third one is supporting sustainable development. Many BMOs promote environmentally sustainable business practices by encouraging efficient resource use, climate action, renewable energy adoption, and compliance with environmental standards. These efforts contribute to global sustainability goals and help balance economic growth with environmental protection. The fourth one is promoting decent work and social justice. BMOs encourage businesses to respect labor rights, provide safe working conditions, ensure fair wages, and promote diversity and inclusion in the workplace. By supporting responsible employment practices, they contribute to reducing inequality and improving social welfare. The fifth, strengthening public-private partnership. BMOs act as bridge between governments, the private sector, civil society, and international organizations. Through dialogue and collaborations, they help develop solutions to shared challenges such as poverty, unemployment, infrastructure development, education, and public health. As BMOs contribute to economic integration and peaceful international relations. They also encourage adherence to international trade standards, helping business compete fairly in global markets. Advancing corporate social responsibility is another one that BMOs can play a critical role. BMOs also encourage members to invest in community development through education, healthcare, environmental conservation, and philanthropy. Encouraging innovation and digital transformation is also very critical these days than ever, and BMOs help businesses adopt to technological change by promoting innovation, digital skills, and knowledge sharing. Inclusive digital transformation can improve productivity, create new opportunities, and reduce economic inequalities. Finally, we are contributing to peace and stability, which is very critical for the business, and we stand for that as well. Stable economies often support peaceful societies by creating employment opportunities, reducing poverty, and promoting dialogue between stakeholders. BMOs help address some of the underlying causes of conflict as in the social instability. Despite their importance, contributions, BMOs in fact face several challenges, including limited financial and institutional capacity, balancing the diverse interests of different business sectors, political interference or limited influence on policy making, low participation from small businesses, rapid globalization and technological change, and increasing pressure to address climate change and social inequalities. Then, in fact, BMOs should enhance their contribution to a just world order. They should strengthen institutional capacity and governance, promote greater inclusion of women, youth, and SMEs, enhancing transparency and accountability in advocacy, foster stronger partnerships with government, civil society, and international organizations, encourage responsible investment and sustainable business practices, build members' capacity on environmental, social, and governance standards, support innovation and digital transformation while ensuring equitable access. In conclusion, BMOs are key actors in promoting responsible business conduct, inclusive economic growth, and sustainable development. Through policy advocacy, ethical leadership, support for entrepreneurship, and collaboration with governments and civil society, BMOs help shape a more just world order. While challenges remain, strengthening the capacity and inclusivity of BMOs can enhance their contribution to creating a fairer, more prosperous and sustainable global community. I hereby confirm that Addis Chamber is committed to work towards a just order, world order. Thank you very much for listening. That's my appreciation.
Thank you very much for your wonderful presentation. You will all agree with me that young people are the driving force behind every nation. Thank you very much. And our next speaker, Tarika Nagash, is a very familiar face. He will speak to us for a couple of minutes about youths and values. Thank you. Please welcome him.
Thank you so much, our moderator. እንኳን በድጋሚ ተገናኘን። ጥሩ ጊዜ እያሳለፋችሁ እንደሆነ ተስፋ አደርጋለሁ። Thank you so much. So my speech is a brief speech. The moderator gave me only 2 minutes. I will try sum up within 2 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to be effective on that, by the way. So when we speak of the use, you know, biologically or from the developmental psychological point of view, it's a period of human life defined by transition. You know, you transit from a very childhood to adulthood. So at this point, users are not entirely independent, but not dependent either, and entirely independent. So, as you know, the use is a period of questioning, it's a period of transition, a period of open-mindedness. So there is somehow a metaphor in Amharic. We can say that a youthhood is like a water that passes through a tunnel for irrigation. So the question is, which I need to ask, who is just leading this water and to which direction? So as you know, from the global point of view, there is a systemic challenge that the youth face across the globe. As a youth, we face the same challenge, whether it's in Europe, whether it is in Asia, or in Africa. So the question that we need to ask here is, where are we transitioning to? In my friendly discussion with my friends, I usually used to say, I see some sort of transition among the contemporary youths. But the question is, who is leading the transition of the youth to which direction? Do we have a common future? Do we feel the global challenge in the same way, in the same extent? This is what I would like to ask. As you know, when you talk about the challenge of the youth, there has been said a lot by NGOs, researchers, like employability issue, freedom of movement, participation, skill gap, quality of education, so on and so forth. But apart this critical question, I would like to ask the youth, particularly here, how far you are united in your common cause. How far in your respective country and state, how far you are free from polarized thoughts. Polarization due to religion, ethnicity, language, and etc. Because I see this is also one of a bottleneck for the growth of the youth. Everywhere you feel this, you sense it. So this is the question. This is not my direct opinion to you, but I invite you to ask yourself. So, generational and historical narratives that hinder African youth from uniting around a common goal, these are a critical challenge that we need to pass. How far you are free and willing to cooperate with your respective governments. How you are ready to cooperate with your respective states. This is a question I ask to the youth, because unless we do so, we cannot move a step. Of course, there are also difficult ideological pressures that comes via technology through your hand. Living somewhere in Africa, but dreaming somewhere in Europe. You graduate, you work, the state provides you education, but you dream somewhere. Are you free from that pressure? Are you free from the social medias that kills your time, your energy, your focus? I'm not here to provide a solution. Rather, I'm here to ask the youth, my fellow friends. Of course, not here in Addis only, but African youth. So this could result the push of African youth to see the world in a binary terms. Somehow, you curse and blame the situation that you are in, and at the same time, dream a heaven. So, are you free to entertain different ideological point of view? Are you willing to entertain a world that is, bipolar world, or are you persuaded to one direction? This is a question that I ask. So, the real challenge for African youth to be oneself, I repeat it, to be oneself, to respect your culture, to respect who you are, to respect what you dress, to respect what you eat, to respect your language. Unless we cannot speak of the sovereignty of Africa. Be yourself, love who you are. So, to be a solution of our problem, we have to break the old thought that we gain a solution from somewhere else. From somewhere else. Call it Europe, call it America, call it somewhere else. That is old ideology. It can't work. It can't work anymore. It failed. So be yourself. Let us be ourselves. Another and final very important remark I would like to address here is that we as a youth believe in the power of public diplomacy. For sure, many of you after this session will have a lot of names, a lot of business cards, a lot of high-level delegates here. So believe in public diplomacy. Be open to speak out, to meet people, to share your idea. Never fear. Don't hesitate. So believe in public diplomacy. That's why we are here today. So, finally, you can call it a call of action or suggestion. Develop the courage of unity that originates from who you are actually. Don't live here and dream somewhere else. It can't work. We have seen it. It failed. They are pushing us. You see it. Am I clear to you? Sure. I hope it gives sense. So address a healthy relationship with your states. Respect your leaders. Respect your history. So I question the youth. I invite the youth to question how far you are trying to be yourself, how far you are respecting your nation, religion, who you are actually. This is my important message for you today. As you see, I've been here and there, somehow tired. I would love to say more, but I have to stop here. I know I passed more than 2 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much.
For exceeding 2 minutes, he has promised to buy all of us lunch. So at this point, we'll listen to a short video by from Ambassador AMR Ajowele. He's the Director, Citizens and Diaspora Directorate, African Union Commission. So a short video from him.
Excellency Andrei Benyanov, Secretary General of the World People's Assembly, Excellency Tsgai Ghana, Secretary General of the Global Black Center, Excellency Muhammad Ali Nasser, former President and Chairman of the Arab Peace Group, Excellency Madi Hamada, former Prime Minister of the Union of the Comoros, Honorable Abdel Fattah Mahmoud, Minister of Education and Culture of the Federal Republic of Somalia, Honorable Indegna Akibi, State Minister of Tourism for the Federal Republic of Ethiopia, Excellency Evgeny Trekin, Ambassador of the Russian Federation, Samuel Kifi, President of the Addis Ababa University, Mr. Philip Osagi, moderator of this opening plenary, and distinguished panelists, representatives of our partner institutions, the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa and UNESCO's office in Addis Ababa, Excellencies, members of the diplomatic corps, distinguished delegates across the African continent, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. It is a distinct honor to bring to you the fraternal greeting of the African Union Commission and its chairperson, His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, whom I have the privilege to represent. I warmly thank our hosts, the World People's Assembly and the Global Black Center, and our partners, the Economic Commission for Africa and the UNESCO Office, for convening this summit, for placing Africa's voice at the very heart of the conversation about the future we share. Excellencies, this summit asks how Africa can help and helps to shape the future that we all share. Permit me a simple image. When Africa comes to the table of the world, she brings three gifts: her memory, her youth, and her values. First gift is memory. Africa is the cradle of humanity and the custodian of the heritage that belongs to all people. Yet, too much of it still rests behind glass in distant halls. The Union has answered with concrete instruments, a common African position on the institution of cultural resources, an African modern law to protect our heritage, Great Museum of Africa rising in Algiers, and the elaboration of the Encyclopedia Africana, and of course our partnership with UNESCO on the general history of Africa. To this summit and to the Global Black Center, I offer one practical proposal. Let us build together a shared digital archive of African heritage composing of these initiatives so that a child in Addis Ababa or in the diaspora may inherit her history not as a rumor but as a right. The second gift is youth. Africa is the youngest continent on earth. 6 in every 10 of us are under the age of 25. This is not a burden to be managed. It is the world's largest reservoir of talent for tomorrow. And here, genuine sovereignty begins. Sovereignty of the field, of the mind, and of the code. Through the African Continental Free Trade Area, we widen the market our young people will build. Through the Continental African Artificial Intelligence Strategy of 2024, harnessing AI for Africa's development and prosperity, we resolve that Africans will not merely consume the tools of the future, but will help to design them. My recommendation is modest in cost, yet ambitious in reach. Invest in our youth as makers, in technology that speaks our languages, our mentorship, and in the craft of public diplomacy, so that the next generation addresses the world in its own voice. The third gift is values. Africa brings to the table an old and generous wisdom that I am because we are. That dialogue outlasts division. That true friendship and partnership rests on sovereign equality and mutual respect. This is the spirit of a reformed and inclusive multilateralism, and of a people-to-people diplomacy, in which citizens and not states alone build the bridges of trust. It is the daily work of our directorate, CEDO, the Citizen and Director and Diaspora Directorate, and its engagement throughout the citizens of the African continent and her diaspora, to keep those bridges wide enough for all the pools. And may the African communique that you will adopt in this session be less of a record of what was said, but more of a roadmap for what will be done. CEDO is there for you to join hands in our future endeavors. Excellencies, dear friends, let me close where I began. A common future cannot simply be inherited, it must be authored, and authored together. Africa arrives to write not only with an empty hand, but with three gifts: a memory that dignifies the past, a youth that will define the future, and a set of values strong enough to bind them. Guard the memory, trust the youth, and honor the values, and the new world this summit imagines will be built neither for Africa nor merely with Africa, but by Africa, standing shoulder to shoulder with its humanity. I thank you.
Thank you very much thank you for that good video. Well, thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, for your rapt attention and for taking such good notes. It's very much appreciated. And thank you very much, eminent speakers, for your eloquent presentations. We have now come to the end of this session, and I hope we all work together for our common good. They say technology may shape the future, but values will determine whether that future is worth living in. So it is now my great pleasure to invite Ms. Sevlana Smenova, Chair of the General Council of the World People's Assembly, to deliver the closing remarks of this exciting plenary section. Welcome and thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, dear Phil. Dear friends, I think you have received the draft of our document, very important document, the African Communique. Yes, you have? Okay, and I hope you have had the opportunity to review it, to read it. Yes? Read? Okay. I mentioned it that this communique is prepared in 4 languages: Russian, English, French, and as a sign of our respect to people of Ethiopia, also in Amharic language. And I would like to invite now to improve this communique. So, if you favor, please raise your bait or your hand. Okay? Are you ready? Are you favor? I am favor. I approve this document. Please, or hands. You can, yes. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. And so we adopted this document, and we send this African communique to our partners all over the world. And this communique will be presented, we present to our second World Public Assembly in Moscow. Thank you so much. Thank you for your join us. Thank you for our speakers for very, very useful meetings. Thank you.
On that point, on that note, we are, I believe, dismissed for this session. Yes, we are finished for this session. Where's the, yeah. You come and tell us what to do next.
Now coffee break and 1 p.m. 1. Yes, only. It's enough.
Okay, we'll take a much deserved break. I've never seen an audience that's so attentive and so positive. You have energy, and your energy just flows to the stage. So you do deserve a break, but please come back by 1 p.m., Tariq. What time should you come back? 1 p.m. We have some more exciting presentation coming after 1. Thank you very much and enjoy your break. Well done, Tariq. Thank you so much.
Gakoro Eduardo Macharia, we know how we financed it. We know how we framed, that we would succeed after 20 years. So we had to establish black institutions. Very important. Very important. The world is not as good as to accommodate